There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take it!
What is up, EoP sports fans? It's no. It's Thursday afternoon. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
I'm Joey Sheeran. I don't know if that was on purpose, but you almost got me to say it.
I almost got you. Yeah. Yeah, and he's Joey Sheeran and he's Joe Melito. We're gonna try to work this out because there's two Joes for the price of one. But Freddie is out tonight, enjoying some good time with his family. But Disney, that is. And we are on a odd Thursday night because for those who are new to EoP, Joe and I used to do Thursday night all the time, but of course it was what 9 or 9:30.
9:30, I think it was.
It was much later. So this will be interesting to see how this works out with everybody. So welcome in, guys, to Edge of Philly Sports. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Philly sports over the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
So Joe, you're back in the saddle again. It's good to see you. I hope you had a good time.
Yes, I did.
Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the draft coverage here at EoP. Just the best. That's all I got to say. The best. You try to tell me otherwise. But let's start talking about the not so fighting Phillies for a second, Joe, because going into this Dodgers series, the team's above 500. They're doing really well, winning series, almost sweeping one or two here and there in the process. Harper's coming back and finally made his return Tuesday. They got swept by the Dodgers. Joe, does that kind of soil that for you a little bit?
100%. 100%. I mean, listen, game one, he's back. He's knocking the rust off. Basically, he was doing exactly what Embiid was doing in the Celtics game last night. We'll talk about that later. But Bryce Harper comes out yesterday, totally different player. On base off 5 times, 3 for 3, 2 walks. And it looked like he was the only one out there trying. I mean, yeah, they were up 5-0, squandered. Aaron Nola can't go past 3. What has happened to Aaron Nola? And we've talked about this in the very beginning. The Phillies are absolutely in the driver's seat of what this guy is going to make, coming his next contract. He wanted to bet on himself this season, and it is backfiring. It's backfiring. I don't even know if the Phillies are going to offer this guy a contract at this point.
Here's what happens when I'm watching a Phillies game and Noel's pitching, or me and my dad are watching. We're saying it's going great, but at the same time, we're looking at our watches saying, when's the explosion going to happen? And generally, like Joe said, around 3-4 innings before he just gives up that one huge inning that just turns things around.
Yeah, and I posted something on our social media yesterday, and I said Aaron Nola can't go past 3, and somebody responded saying, "Oh, well, he went 6." Well, he started giving up the runs in the 3rd inning. Mm-hmm. Like just because he could have gone 9 innings. But if he gives up, 5, 6, 7, 8 runs, what's the difference of how many innings he pitches?
It's like teams, once they see him once around,
they figure it out.
They're catching on.
Yep.
And that's what I wonder. I mean, is he tipping pitches? Is like, does it take a
pitch clock? It could be.
I believe that does play a little bit of it into it. For the guy, I said this beginning. I said the older guys are gonna be the hardest to get used to this. Like the minor league's been doing this for a couple of years, so
sure.
they've had it, but. I'm looking at his stats right now, his game logs. He has that just great game in Houston. Like just 8 innings?
Yeah.
8 innings. Yeah, here you go. 8 innings. He is a 1.13 ERA for that game. All right, but then he got 7 innings a game before that, not big. So it looks like he's starting to move up. But like you're saying, like he starts to fall apart, and his looking at his like earned run, you're like, okay, well, what's going on? But it just he has to keep getting himself out of trouble. And that is, I mean, in his first game against Texas, he let up 5. He let up 13 earned runs the entire month of April. That's out of what? 5 starts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not great. But again, the team. This team seems like it has like a personality disorder.
Yeah.
Like certain times the bats are hot, can't stop them, like they're hitting everything, and then other times they're not. And then the bats are off, the pitching's doing good. The pitching's off, the batting's doing
Mhm.
good. I'm even like the one clear, more definite thing has been, and I was going to ask you guys about this, has been the bullpen, and for the most
Right.
part, except for yesterday,
Yeah.
big time yesterday.
Yeah, Alvarado's been very solid in my opinion.
No, it's been great outside of what this game and that other game.
I think he had one other.
It was the Reds
iffy,
game or
yeah,
something.
but Alvarado, it just like you said, it's the inconsistency. The bats will be there one night, starting pitching's bad. So we just got to get on the same page.
You know what's funny is, sorry, not to
Yeah,
cut you
no.
off. You know what's funny is, like, you remember, like, back in the day, like, especially from, I'll throw '07 in there, '07 to '11. Like, we would get our tickets. We would look at the schedule and we would see who's pitching the day that we're going. Like, we don't have that excitement
No.
anymore. Like, I'll be honest with you, a majority of the time I go to the ballpark,
I don't even.
I don't even know who's pitching.
Don't want to know more or less.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, outside of Wheeler, like, who are you excited to go and see? Like, I thought Taiwan Walker was going to be a lot better than he actually is. Like, like you said, show flashes at times like Nola, but then other times it's just a complete cluster F. Like, you don't know what you're getting at. Like, I didn't know that I was going to be sitting here a month into the season praying for the return of Ranger Suarez. Like, and I like Ranger, but I never thought that, like, that the season could come on his back. Like, it could fall on him, like, to get in here and put a solid 1 through 5 rotation together again.
To be honest, the one kid that sometimes I look forward to watching is Bailey Fowler.
Yeah.
And,
He's winless too somehow. Like, but he's pitching well.
But he's pitching decent.
Well, because when he's pitching well,
the
the bats aren't
Right.
there.
Yeah.
It's like and
it's that dichotomy of no hitting and great pitching, or I don't want to say great pitching, but you know what I mean. It's just inconsistent.
And let me ask this question, because the gobbler here, Pat, brought up a point online. He goes, Kyle Schwarber was 1 for 12 in the series. He's playing ice cold, no excuses. He's back in the leadoff position.
I wanted to bring that up too. Yeah.
So number one, have Philly fans, because of what we saw last year, are we just all sitting there waiting for June and we're okay with ice cold Kyle Schwarber? I mean, it's like the only guy who bats 212, and he's like somewhere in the top 5 pitch or batting order, and everybody seems okay with it. Is it time that we get a little less hype about Kyle Schwarber, or is this what we're dealing with?
Funny you said that. Me and my dad talked about this right before I left to come here. I don't get why he's hitting leadoff. I don't get why they do it. You guys remember Adam Dunn?
Sure.
He was always like a 220 average
Cincinnati
guy.
Reds, correct?
But then he bounced to the White Sox. But he'd always give you like 40 home runs, and they would always hit him like 5th and 6th. And I just don't get why you have a guy who last year I think hit 212, and you're going to bat him leadoff.
I mean, the question of that really needed to come last season, because he led off all last season. And I'll be honest with you, I think I was one of the guys pounding the table saying, hey, he led the NL in home runs. I understand he should have had a little bit more, some more runs batted in than he had. But listen, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But that's because of the roster we had last year. I mean, now you have a Trey Turner who you could lead off. You have a Bryson Stott who was absolutely red hot. It didn't matter where you put him in the lineup. Topper put him at the top of the lineup, and he continued to hit with consistency. And now all of a sudden, Bryce Harper's back, and you're recycling last year's lineup with Kyle Schwarber being in the leadoff position. Like, that is such a head scratcher to me. Like, why wouldn't you just put Schwarber at like 5 or 6?
I think
put more power in the back of the lineup. It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, if somebody has to kind of like make their way back down, it should be Brandon Marsh, but still, you're getting some pop at the back of the lineup as well with Brandon Marsh down there.
I mean, if you started off your lineup, you go Bryson first, Trey
Yeah.
Turner,
Yep.
Bryce,
Yep.
and then you go Castellanos maybe 4th with Schwarber at 5th.
In fact, maybe
you're also going left, right.
Sure.
So
right, if that's the way you want to look at it, just like, going opposite hand bats. Yeah, you could definitely go that way. But I wouldn't mind having Kyle Schwarber. Like, Kyle Schwarber is a power bat. I mean, why wouldn't you? The 4th position, the cleanup position, is made for Kyle Schwarber's out there.
Well, I mean, Jason here, he agrees. Why wouldn't you bat him 3 or 4? I wouldn't even bat him that high. I mean, if the guy's struggling, and the only reason I can see, Joe, to be honest with you, that they put him there is because maybe they thought maybe he's a little cold. If we move him back to that leadoff, he'd be better. I don't think that works. Honestly, I don't understand why he's not moved down the order. We have now with Harper, especially in the order. I mean, you can go Stott, Turner, Harper.
They moved them the opposite way.
Yeah,
They should have.
yeah, and then Nicky Bass, who's been just the most
great.
solid player, one of the
yeah.
most solid players all year.
It's nice to see because
Yeah.
this is the Castellanos I thought we were getting
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah,
So,
you could definitely see that Justin Long worked with him a
Yeah.
lot, you know. But then you can have Marsh, who's been hitting well. So you could have hit maybe Schwarber at 5 and Marsh at 6, and then maybe change it up if you're based on lefty righty situations.
Well, it's interesting because before Dombrowski traded for Brandon Marsh last year, they went to Justin Long and said, "Hey, watch the video of this guy. Look at his swing. Do you think there's something that you can do to help him with the swing?" And he was like, "Absolutely." He was like, "Get him here." And now with an off season, with Castellanos coming in, he was, lukewarm to say the best last season. I know you were, very high on saying Nick was going to have a turnaround season, and that's what he is having. He's had an off season with Long. Brandon Marsh is working along, and now these two, these guys are really batting or really hitting for average.
Yeah. Another guy I know who was actually high on watching him bat, they had him look at his tape, was Charlie Manuel.
Yeah.
And he had a resounding.
Well, everybody hits with Charlie.
Yeah.
What a
But,
what a hitting guru. What a
he-
guru.
He had a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
And speaking of, you could meet Charlie Manuel next Saturday. That's right, May 13th. 1-8 over at Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. Wiffle Ball Madness is back. Philadelphia, and it's for Eagles Autism fundraiser as well. So Charlie Manuel will be there. Mickey Morandini makes his return as always. Philly Sports Guy will be there. Hollis Thomas, and from what I'm understanding, just some more. So when I get the information on that, I will let you guys know. But come down to Dolan's, and I know EoP will be there.
Yes, sir.
All right. So my question to you guys was about Craig Kimbrell. I always have to say his name very slowly because I will fall over it. Are you over? Is he cooked? Is he having a bad start? Like he seems to have a couple, like a lot like Walker. Like he has a good outing, and then he has a bunch of clunkers.
Yeah, I think he's, if he's not past his prime, he's certainly, right on the edge of it. I think some of these guys, especially when it comes to an off season, you look at the guy's resume and you see what he's done in the past. Doesn't mean that he's going to come in and copy that performance, that just what you want to get out of him. Like, yeah, I was on board with signing Kimbrel. I was. Now not so much.
I'm not saying you weren't on board with signing Kimbrel at all. I believe I was too. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't have been. I mean, he's a veteran closer. I think
he should not be a closer.
When he was in the Dodgers, I know he didn't do too well there either. But I mean, overall, he's got a career. I mean, he's only a few saves shy of a 400. But he just doesn't seem to be himself.
Yeah.
And I worry about that. It doesn't seem mechanical.
Topper seems to mess with the order of the rotation as well. When the Phillies started to turn the bullpen around about a week or two ago, he was going with Kimbrel, Soto, Sir Anthony, and Alvarado. Why is he messing with that? Why is Craig Kimbrel in there? I don't care that he used to play at Dodger Stadium and they wanted to get him in there. I don't care. You need to win the game. You came back in the ninth to go up a run, and then a walk-off grand slam. A walk-off grand slam is what we saw yesterday.
Did you see the graphic under the TV when he was up to bat against Max Muncy?
No, I was actually listening on the radio when I was doing
it. Literally said Max Muncy was 1 for 1 with a home run. He is batting 1,000 against him with 2 home runs, one being the grand slam.
Yeah, I think
Max Muncy was 0 for 4 at the time, and Max Muncy has been struggling up until Craig Kimbrel came up.
Plays the field well.
To me, I think we might have to look that Kimbrel is in the twilight of a great career, but like you said, 400 saves is nothing to sneeze at.
He's the Brad Hand of last season.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Jason's sitting here going, Kimbrel is a hot mess right now. He might need to change that pitching stance.
Yeah,
If
that
you
little
change, if you change that on a guy this far deep into his career, I mean, you pretty much undo him. I feel like. I
well,
mean, that's
Yeah.
that's like the most that's like common thing that this man does. Like, I don't know, just me.
to me that stuff's cool when you're saving 50 games a year.
Mhm.
Now it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's just yeah,
Especially with the pitch clock because he's down there doing that for a
yeah.
few seconds, and then it feels like he has to rush the pitch sometimes.
It's like a receiver that drops 8 deep balls, finally catches one, and we're down 40, and he's high stepping into the
Right.
end zone. You know,
Well, and it's like you kind of brought with Bryson, or Bryce, not Bryson, Bryce. He had his spring training was one game.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he's 5 for 5. On base percentages.
People were saying that he should have been sent down for a rehab assignment. Like, get the hell out of here. He's Bryce
He
Harper.
was working.
dude's just
He,
built-
he was working
yes.
with Ranger Suarez.
Right.
So it's not like he was working with nobodies.
Rangers getting a rehab assignment, bumping him up to 75 pitches. Like, come on, let's get this guy going.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to be able to move maybe Strom to the. My question is, with the way these guys are struggling, do you go 6-man or you move Strom to the bull?
The problem with that is again, you don't know what you're getting out of Aaron Nola, so maybe going 6-man rotation isn't the worst thing.
I think it might be a decent idea until some of these guys settle into what they're going to be and can give us a more, comprehensive look of what we're going to get the rest of the season.
I think you saying settle in is a perfect way to say it. Like, some guys go out there and they need to know their role on it doesn't matter the sport. They need to know their role on the team. And when it comes to baseball, especially when you get into the bullpen, there's the extended guy, there's the setup guy, there's the closer. Like, these guys, it's a mentality. I mean, yeah, the game is physical, but I say 80% of it is mental as well. Like, these guys need to know what their assignment is going in and out of every game. That's not what they're getting.
Especially bullpen guys.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
got the 7th inning guy.
Yep.
You get the setup guy. You get the closer. It's
And you only have to really set up the closer and the setup and the closer and the setup guy, right?
Well, but you need that bullpen guy who can, and this would be a Matt Strom who can go 2-3 innings.
Well,
if
that's
if
why
Aaron Nola's pitching and he can only go 3.
Well, that's why I asked you guys the question. Like, is he service better as a 6-man, or does he service better knowing if Aaron Nola has that 4th inning implosion that you could put a guy like Matt Strom in and go 3 or 4 more innings?
I almost wonder if you should put Falter as the long guy / 6 guy. Strom's pitching well. He used to be a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And he kind of, like, going into the season, he's voiced his opinion on it, saying, like, I've kind of been waiting my opportunity to get the chance to do it again. And he's doing it pretty well at the highest of levels. But if he does end up going into the bullpen, at least we know what we're getting out of him. And it'll keep him healthier longer, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough
Keep his
call.
arm fresh, I should say.
And people panic. Philly fans, we panic.
Oh,
It's
God,
oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, it happens. And I mean, it's really hard to get, like I asked you in the beginning of the show, you have the return of our MVP of 2021 and return of our MVP of the postseason last year. But he gets kind of shadowed by the fact that they can put up you lost by 36 points. It was a 36 to 11 a 36 to 11 difference. That's the difference of runs that they've scored, Dodgers versus Phillies, over 3 games. Now listen, I always say it's like in any game, in any sport, but especially baseball, you can lose by 1 run or you can lose by 40 runs. It's still just 1 game.
Right.
But the problem is that's 13, 13, and 10. Our pitching, which we were known for, which was kind of better at one point than our bats, or more consistent, I should say, that's kind of flopping. And that lies a problem.
Yeah, the paradigm's going to shift. It's our bats that have been more consistent than our starting pitching now, and we just have to get on the same page. And like you said, the panic thing. I mean, it's May 4th.
Yeah.
So
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
I didn't know who here's Star Wars and who wasn't.
I actually forgot about it. I heard on the radio anyway.
I am a proud Star Wars nerd.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this lineup just on paper. I mean, and we'll just say, the lineup we wish we would see: Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, Bryce, Nick, Kyle, Alec,
Yeah.
Brandon. I mean, you look at this roster on paper, and you're like,
Oh, it's scary.
that's an all-star.
Yeah.
1 through 7.
That's
1 through
an
7 is completely
amazing
scary.
lineup, and they just all can't put it together. Like yesterday, they had I want to say it was the third inning where they got the majority of their runs, and they were like everybody was clicking on all cylinders at that moment, and then they left 2 on base because Schwarber hit a liner and it was caught. It was snapped out of the air. But like that is what we expected game in and game out. Once one guy is hot, the other isn't. I mean, it's just that's the way it always goes. And it's almost so funny because everybody talks about this every single year with the Phillies. Once summer hits and it starts to get hot, so do the bats. Like it's almost like the flick of a switch. Like once it hits 80 degrees, the Phillies are knocking the ball, out of the ballpark 10 times a game.
Well, unfortunately, the most important part of baseball is in the fall and colder weather,
Right.
so they got to get over that a little bit. I mean, that's why I kind of asked you about Schwarber earlier. Like, people seem to, and I can fall into this category like anybody. They can look
got 6 home runs,
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, people can seem to look past his inconsistencies at the bat.
Mhm.
Not
I
other
think,
people.
I think it's because he's a likable guy.
That, oh,
I really
100%.
do.
100%. That's the reason. Like when the guys, if it was a D-bag that we didn't like, we would have like traded him. Everyone would have traded him 12 times by now.
He's got the Schwarbaum commercial with Wawa. He's got his own drink. Like he's a very likable guy. Like he could be batting 50.
Oh, Jay,
and we're still all saying 7 home runs. Thank you. We're still saying like we really like Kyle Schwarber, and we're just trying to figure out where the hell to put him. We're not sitting here. We're not bashing him.
Yeah.
I feel like we would be, if it was the opposing player.
Herrera,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I hated Odubel Herrera.
The brainless wonder.
Yeah.
For many reasons. But I mean, they're coming home.
Reese Hoskins. Sorry, perfect example. If Reese Hoskins was performing like Kyle Schwarber, we would be tearing him a new one.
Well, last postseason we saw that. Remember? He answered the call though with the big home run.
He was mashing him. That postseason. He played great.
But
even though it was just fielding that lost us the World Series.
Oh, he's a
jerk.
Well, let's talk about that real quick before we move on. I mean, that game was. I wouldn't say we would have won because if it all still played out the same, but it could have been a little different if Sosa didn't make that fielding blunder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you blame any of that on, or do you be like, listen, team needs to kind of rally around, and they kind of almost did.
Yeah.
Alec could have gave him the lead. They didn't. They went 6. They went tied. Took the lead, and then ultimately, that's it.
Grand slam.
Grand slam.
Like you said, we went in with a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 9th. Those are games that you have to win.
Why is he like? It's a save situation. Why is Kimbrel out there for a save situation?
I think they're trying to give him a saves. They're trying to. Hey, every time he comes up the bat, he's only 10 away. He's only whatever amount of saves away.
I don't care what he is. He could stay 10 away.
Yeah.
I could care less.
I think after this one, I think that's kind of going to be the moniker.
Alvarado is the best arm out of a bullpen in all the league right now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
And then you're up 1-0. You just lost 2 games prior to that, giving up 13 runs in each. And you're going to put Kimbrel out there when Alvarado is fresh.
Yep.
Sir Anthony, like anybody else. I don't care that he is X amount of saves away from some type of personal, achievement.
Yeah, you got to put that personal milestone.
Yeah.
Crap. I mean, that's
get rid of it.
That takes a back seat to.
Yeah. Listen, if he was pitching lights out,
it's a team game. Everybody says it's a team game. There's no I in team. Well, why are we concerned about Craig Kimbrel getting his saves?
I don't know how much
the
team is. I don't even know how much it's Kimbrel. It's more probably the skip in this one.
Yeah, and people are starting to really criticize him, and I still really like him, but I just think there something has to come to a head where it's like stop tinkering with stuff. Yep. The lineup was just fine before Bryce Harper came back. Why are you doing all this?
Everything just should have shifted down.
Exactly. Keep the lineup the same. Plug Bryce in the 3 spot, and everybody moves back.
2 down.
Yeah,
I don't want Schwarber in the 4 hole either.
And if you want to
be fine with that.
If you want to get Kimbrel the saves 10 away, whatever, it's still a safe situation if we're up 3 in the 9th. Maybe do it then.
Sure.
Don't do it. When we're 1 run up from getting swept if we lose. That's not the time for it.
I honestly think that would have been a total momentum shift coming home. Tomorrow night to play against the Bo Sox. Yeah, off a win, off of 2 really awful losses. I mean, think of You come home with the win. It's the return of Bryce Harper in Citizens Bank Park. It's a Friday night. Boston Red Sox are in town, and it would have been electric. And now you're coming off of one of the worst series we have seen the Phillies play in my recent memory.
Yeah, 26 to 11. Or I'm sorry, 36 to 11
Yeah.
point differential or run differential. Not something you want to come home to. But I don't honestly, Joe, I don't think it's gonna not make it people as amped up. But I think with Bryce Harper coming back to his first game home, I still think people are gonna, want to go to this game. Tickets are gonna sell out, and you know where I go to get my tickets.
right.
Where do we go, Joe?
Sherry'sTickets.com.
Sherry'sTickets.com is right. Family owned, operated since 1946. Great prices, no hidden fees. You will not get bamboozled at checkout. Trust me, the price you see when you first click on it is the price you'll pay at the end, and you can save yourself an additional 10% off by using that great promo code
EoP10.
That's right, EoP10. Go to Sherry'sTickets.com. So again, we had some cool news that got overshadowed by some horrible, game. I don't even know where. Let's talk about it. So, if we had our normal Wednesday night show, Joe,
Oh, thank God we didn't.
like the difference between the way we're going to talk right now
Yeah.
is just going to be night and day, like just night and day.
Yeah.
It is. It's maddening to a point. So let's talk.
Is this a segue?
It's a segue. We're going Sixers, guys. We're going Sixers.
Oh,
We're going to talk about the game one. All right, here's a game one. This miraculous play by James Harden. 45 points. Hits that game three, like game winning three for the most part.
Clutch shot, man.
Yeah. We said, who's that guy who's going to take the shot? And he stepped up and he was. Maxey with a great steal. Take that one. We still won without, not known at that point yet, our MVP.
That's right.
Center Joel Embiid.
Now tell me that didn't look like Houston MVP Harden.
Oh yeah.
One,
Oh yeah.
with the step back threes.
I feel like he could close his eyes and hit threes with no problem. Like that's how on fire he was.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he used to just chuck it up from anywhere, and it was in.
Yep.
It didn't matter from where.
Yeah, and then like I said, that dagger. I mean, he was shooting 50% from three.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on fire. You couldn't stop him.
Followed it up.
Paul Reed playing like a center should. I always
ball.
said, Joe, the joke I always made on the show wasn't really a joke, but it's the truth. Paul Reed was always to me trying to do his best Joel Embiid impression.
Sure.
And now he's like, you know what? I'm just going to play like Paul Reed, and he's been playing well. Tobias Harris has been captain consistent.
Oh yeah.
Since the entire thing.
I think he's been getting so overshadowed.
And he's gonna.
Yeah.
It's just gonna happen.
I think there's only 2 games where he's been under 20 points the whole playoffs.
There's only 4. Yeah, this last game.
Yeah.
And he was our points leader, and we'll get into that in a second. So, all right, they win. We're all pounding our chest. We're all excited. All right, we got our one in Boston. We can beat them with or without Embiid. We could do this. We're not afraid. Tuesday night comes off, night off. What we all knew was coming. And Joe, I'll start with Joey. I'll start with you. I don't know which one I gave Joey. I feel like
gave him Joey. But
I already screwed it up.
When you look at
I'm going to just point at you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with you. I mean, your initial thoughts with the MVP bid for Joel Embiid.
I thought it was. Should he have won it?
Everything.
Yes.
Should he have won it? How do you feel about it?
I think he should have won it. I heard a lot of arguments for Jokic. But for me, I like Joel. I hate him sometimes, but it's he had a great year. He led the league in scoring. He's a great rim protector. I think that I was surprised how much he won it by. The votes apparently was a pretty big margin.
It was everybody except for our former player who voted for him.
Yeah, right. Was it JJ Redick?
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know exactly. I don't know.
JJ probably didn't vote for him. Julius Erving didn't want him to win. What's going on here?
I say $10 he did vote for him. He just did that to be clickbait. I have a feeling.
Yeah, we were talking about that last time I was in here. But yeah, I think Joel deserved to win it. And Jokic put together another great season too. But I think it was Joel's award this year.
Joe, Sheeran.
You know what?
Sheer dog.
I don't like Jokic. I don't like him because they call him the Joker. I'm so over all this nickname BS.
I
Like,
think that's kind of a cool nickname.
yeah,
Not for a goofy 7-foot Serbian,
but like, but like, all right, if I'm watching the game and you see like Charles and Ernie and all these guys, and they're not even like they're just calling him the Joker. It's like, come on, like dude's got a name. But anyway, Joel Embiid. I'll be honest with you, when it was announced that he was MVP, I really had no reaction. I was like, all right, that's cool. But like,
Were you expecting it, or you're just like, I'm in playoff mode? I don't care.
I think it was more that because a part of me knew. I was like, okay, that's great. He's MVP. We were texting about it, like, and awesome. It's a big achievement for him. I know he wanted to win it. Great, awesome. But I knew him winning that award, there was not a chance he was not going to play Wednesday night. And there was the question of should he? He was not back to health, as we saw. I understand their explanation of playing him last night to kind of knock the rust off. Well, I mean, why knock the rust off when it can cause further injury? You saw him with the brace. He wasn't used to playing with the brace. He was falling, just walking, like not even by contact. He was just falling because of the brace.
Especially Joe, the way he plays. He's always on the floor, whether it's a flop or just a natural fall.
He's always at the top of the key. I mean, he's looking for that shot. I'm sure that's affecting his shot. Getting a push off his feet. I knew that he was going to play in that game because he won the MVP. But to me, that's on Doc. Doc's like, listen, if you're not ready to go, we're sitting you because it affects the team.
I think that's on Doc to shut him down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he should have played. I think it would have been, a smarter decision.
You would have lost anyway.
Right. It was an ugly ass game.
Yeah.
That
36 points, Joe.
That Monday
in a playoff game. Like, does that happen?
No.
It would have been worse without Joel Embiid's good rim protection.
Well, maybe it would have. It could have been different. They might have played the game differently. I mean, I mean, just goes to show you how funny it is. I mean, you win a game by what was it, 4 or 5 points the night before, or 2 nights before, without him.
Funny about that Monday game is Maxey with that steal. He almost stopped. If you see him, he almost like stutter stepped and like he turned his head and then went up. He thought that he heard a whistle. He was gonna stop. They addressed this in the post game. Doc addressed it. Maxey addressed it. He almost didn't make that layup and it would have been a travel because he would have picked up the ball and just stopped. Yeah.
I thought something looked weird.
I honestly thought he was like looking at the clock and going, "Should I just dribble around and burn more clock?"
No, he just didn't want to stop the play.
I thought he was looking back to see if he could maybe go up for a dunk.
Right. That's kind of what I thought. I almost thought like why did he do that? Was he anticipating somebody coming up behind? But no, it's because he thought he heard a whistle and he was gonna stop the play.
I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
Could have given them a shot.
I know. I want to sidebar real quick.
Sidebar.
Monday, we saw Paul Reed. We see what this team does without Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
The last regular season game against Boston without Embiid, they won that game as well.
You mean the last playoff series?
No. In the regular season, the last Celtics game that they played.
Oh, the Celtics game.
Sixers versus Celtics without Embiid. The last game, the last game versus the Celtics in the regular season.
Okay.
They played without Embiid and they won. That's 2 games in a row without Embiid against the Boston Celtics that they won, and we see how they play. And I think it's just giving more guys opportunity. Like, is it time? Is it time? Like, especially, we don't know how this series is going to end. If they don't get over that hump, is it time to start thinking about trading Joel Embiid? Back-to-back scoring champion.
Did we have this conversation? You told me I was nuts.
Yes. But now I'm seeing it in the way that they play of Embiid less. You know what I mean? Now, of course, if James Harden walks as well, you can't give up on Embiid. But I mean, I think it's a different team feel without Embiid on the court.
I mean, you don't give up your MVP that easily.
Well, what was I saying right before we went on air? Well, before Joe got here, I saw these guys online saying, should we think about maybe not playing Embiid?
They should have thought about that.
We play better without him,
right?
And I thought it was laughable that you have the MVP and you're not going to.
They might play with more urgency, just and in fact, it spreads the court open a little bit more too.
You are right about that. It's just a talent like that to
They have no draft capital for the next like 10 years. I mean, you're never going to get the highest of value you can get for
right now-
anybody.
than
For
you can
anybody.
for him right now.
Right. Like if there's any possibility of trading Joel Embiid for the guy's over, he's 30 years old. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's 7 foot,
He's 29.
3, huh? Okay, 29.
Riddled
He's
with
pushing 30.
Riddled with injuries.
Riddled with injuries, 7 foot, 300 pounds. He could barely run up the court as it is. I mean,
Except for the 7.
I'm just saying, is it time to think about it?
Except for the 7-footer part, you just described me.
Well, I think that describes the majority of us.
But, listen, it's a thought process because you get him while he's hot. I mean, cost wise, you could probably get but if you do that, you're not getting players; you're getting draft picks usually.
He might be able to get him.
I mean, listen, Kevin Durant got traded for Mikal Bridges, and Mikal Bridges lit it up once he got to Brooklyn.
Mhm.
And you know what's odd is you look at all the Nova guys that came out, in that draft from that championship run. They're all in New York. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. They're all in New York, and they're all flourishing. The Knicks are in the playoffs right now.
My mom loves when she sees those Nova guys because she works out there and she
nice.
knows a lot of them. She
Oh,
goes,
that's
he's the nicest guy, and so. But yeah, Bridges. I mean, we saw how good he could play. So
you imagine if Daryl Morey just drafted Nova kids, they'd be in the Eastern Conference Finals by now.
Real quick, guys, before we keep going on, I'll remind you in about 1 week. I think a week from today is it? They dropped the schedule, right?
May 11th.
So yeah, 1 week. 1 week from today, they'll drop the schedule, and so somebody else will. PhillySportsTrips.com. That's right. They got their Kansas City trip, New England trip, Dallas trip, Los Angeles trip, Seattle trip, Tampa trip. Don't matter. They got trips. Trips for everything. Trips as far as the eye can see. Best trips in town. Best experience. It's not just a ticket. It's not just airplanes and hotels. It's huge parties. It's former players. You name it, they got it. It's just a good time. And then if you don't want to go to one of these, they got plenty of Phillies ones coming up too. Throughout the whole summer, they're going out to. I think this one's sold out, but they're going out to England, to London to watch.
London and Leeds, yeah,
to watch the Union play. So it'll be interesting. I think they have a trip going out to Italy for one of the things in the summertime. So go to PhillySportsTrips.com. Tell Vince and the rest of the team we said hello. As I was saying, like let me ask you a question. And I'm looking at the numbers here, and I'll go over them with you guys in a second. But I'm going to go over the numbers. I want you guys to come up with this. Was last night an anomaly, or was this just things to come?
And I'll stop you right there. It was the worst playoff game I've ever watched ever.
Yeah, it reminds me almost of that
100%.
That game when Harden first got here, and they played the Nets, and the Nets just walloped us. I think Boston did too, like not too far around the same time.
When Harden got here last year, they had 3 games in a row where it looked like they weren't going to lose a game for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Then that Nets game came up, and it was supposed to be the big Joel versus Ben Simmons game, and that never came to fruition.
Will never happened.
And the Nets just absolutely smoked the Sixers.
So looking at this last night, and that's why I'm going to ask you if you believe that this can continue or this is. So looking at the Celtics scores, okay. Their top score was 25 points with Jaylen Brown. All right. Their fourth is Marcus Smart with 15.
I hate Marcus Smart.
So do I.
I hate him.
Shave that green hair.
The Sixers' top score was 16 with Tobias Harris.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Joel Embiid 15, Maxey 13, and Harden 12. But the numbers I'm looking at are the percentage differential. The Celtics were shooting field goals were 47%. Versus the Sixers 39%. Threes were 39% Celtics, 20% Sixers, and even free throws were 94% Celtics, 83% Sixers. And 86ers are usually, and that's not bad free throw percentage. Don't get me wrong, but can the Celtics continue to do almost 50% shooting, 40% free throws? Can that continue to happen?
That was an anomaly. To me, for them to shoot that lights out, and for like I was saying before we went on out, I mean there was at least 3 or 4 Harden shots that were 80% of the way down. That came back out. Tyrese, that
basket.
high them little layups that he does high off the glass
Yeah,
weren't dropping. The
those things are a
floater-
work of
the-
art.
Yeah,
They're
the
awesome.
floaters that he does weren't dropping. I mean, nothing could go right for us. Not a thing. So
Yeah. The Sixers will never shoot like that again. They're going to get things to drop.
You mean the
It's-
Celtics or the Sixers?
No, I'm saying this. The Sixers, in my opinion, shot horribly.
No, you're right. They did. I'm saying is it more likely that the Sixers will get back? Will not shoot that bad again, or more likely the Celtics won't shoot that good
They
again?
won't shoot that good again.
Or both.
It probably is both.
Mhm.
I mean, I know at halftime I was looking at the stats, and field goal percentage was Boston 42% and the Sixers 41%. But the game, but I think it was like they were down by 10, I believe, going into the half,
so it was like
and
8
it
or 10
was
point.
right, and it was only 1% different in field goal percentage, but the score was different because they were hitting from three.
Mhm.
They could not miss last night
Oh.
from three.
It didn't matter who it
It
was.
didn't matter
for
who
the
it was. Yep.
Brogdon, Brett.
Brogdon had a
Well,
huge
yeah.
game.
I said to Joey Melito over here, Joe, before you came in, I said, if I ran in last night or Wednesday, right where you're eating your dinner, right before the game starts, if you said, Joe, we're going to hold Jason Tatum to 7 points, what would you be saying?
I'd be saying,
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we all thought that, but everybody was, it was like,
It's unbelievable.
It was like Oprah was giving out shots. You get a
Yeah.
shot,
Right.
and you get
Yeah.
a shot. Like, that's what it felt like.
like that guy Greg Williams. I mean, he had what 2 or 3 threes.
He had some big shots.
He's
Yeah.
like their 8th guy. So
Yep.
You get a 3. You get a 3. It's,
Everybody was banging them last night. Everyone but the Sixers.
Yeah.
As a
They
whole.
had, I'm looking at it right now. They had 23s land out of 51 attempts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the
60.
first half, even going into halftime, they're down by 10, but it still looked,
still was a game.
it was still a game. Like
Yeah.
in game one, the Sixers were multiple times down by 12. And last night when they got down by 12, I said to my wife, I said, well, here we go. This is where they start to turn around. This is where they feel comfortable, down by 12. They'll inch their way back and, take a lead here or two, but it never came.
And you know what it was, Joe? We did make a little headway, but it was every time we were down 12, we'd hit a 2, they'd come back and hit a 2 or 3.
Right.
So it was
They would always match it or
match
better.
it or better. So, to me, I don't think we're gonna get smoked like that again.
No, I mean, but you have to think of this as well. Like Monday night's game, like it was a true steal of a game. Like
Yeah.
everybody on the Sixers had to play top-notch basketball. Harden 45, as we all know, was his career high points in a playoff game. DeAnthony Melton with 5 threes in the first half. Tyrese Maxey in the second half turns it on, ends up with like 28, I believe it was. I mean, it needed max effort from everybody to win that game by 5 points or so.
Yeah, man.
So I mean, seeing how the game went last night, I'm not surprised that Boston won. They're on their home court. I'm happy that the Sixers got out of there with a win. But knowing how they needed to get that win with everybody playing, career high stats in playoff games, like it doesn't surprise me that it was such a routing last night. I just wish the game was a little bit, more competitive,
Sure.
especially with Embiid coming back.
I did not think I was going to
actually
see
think
Jalen
Embiid
Springer.
coming back may have, hurt the team a bit.
You think it was a little, we did so well, we're overconfident. Now we got Joel back. We can definitely just handle these.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, let me just,
Again, mental.
the story of the game, if you look at the box score, is the third quarter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 28-22 in the first quarter, 29-27 in the second quarter, and 29-22 in the fourth quarter. But the third quarter was 35-16.
Yeah, that's unreal.
That's
How do you come out that flat in the playoffs? Like, that's my question. Like, how do you come out? All right, like you said, Joe, you're down 10. All right, we know that's kind of their MO. Like,
yeah.
make us sweat it a little
Right.
bit. But
James Harden had a week and a half off, and then comes out and puts up a 45 stack, and then he has a day off, and he comes out and puts up 12.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just rest for these guys. Like, I don't have the answer. I don't know what the hell happened other than Joel Embiid coming back. I don't know what happened from Monday night to last night.
no offense, but when you're Paul Reed, your 5th highest score, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then one guy I
And
love.
with the surgence of Paul Reed, puts the question in my head again.
Well,
I mean, if he's putting
he
up
just
10
does-
points, grabbing 15 rebounds, what a true center in the game does, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I love Paul Reed, and I brought him up, last time
He's on
I
the
was
Paul
on
Reed
here.
parade over.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
B-ball Paul with his hustle, he's not the rim protector that
Mhm.
Embiid is, which was the one good thing I saw last
Sure.
night was Embiid with the 6 blocks,
Yeah,
5 in the
5
first
blocks
half.
in the first half.
Yeah. And Paul Reed, he gets the crowd into it with his hustle. He dives for offensive
Mhm.
boards, but he's not going to give you much as far as offense, I don't think.
Sure, but if you get some pure shooters, some perimeter players, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't always need, you don't need an
There
Embiid,
were
really.
some times last night where
I can't
our
believe I'm talking about
offense,
trading Embiid.
but
You're angry, Joe.
you kind of got me thinking about maybe this isn't.
Well, the thing is, it's
I think there should be a conversation.
It's a conversation
Yeah.
because let's see what somebody's going to offer you again. If you
Sorry, not to interrupt. The one downfall of them exploring this is if Wynn got to Joel Embiid, oh my God, the pity party.
We would never hear.
Well, he'd be one.
Never hear the end of it.
Well, unfortunately, he
yeah.
probably forced himself out at that point.
Probably.
The minute you decide that you can't tip your toe in the water and go, maybe we will. Let's just see what offers we're gonna get. That's not gonna happen. You're either in or you're out.
Right. Yeah. You're pulling the trigger or nothing.
And another guy I picked him as my guy to be, the unsung hero of the game last night, and he was just a no-show. Really kind of upset me a little bit. Was D'Anthony Melton?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 points. I mean, he got 17 minutes, but
wide open 3 and he airballed.
Yeah, it was. Everybody was off, man. It's like everybody catch the yips. That's the best way I can explain it. Like they all and it's funny because right before this game, Joe, you're away, so we didn't really talk about this, but James Harden was down in Vegas,
right?
And everybody was like up in arms about this. And for those who don't know this, For those who don't know the story, he was found outside of a club where women maybe take their clothes off, and he was slapping a dude around, but he wasn't
tapped him.
Yeah, he wasn't fighting anybody. It was one of his crew. They were found hanging out later. I'm wondering if this guy got out of line. He said, "Listen, get me in trouble, you son of a, I don't mess with me." And everybody was upset more of the fact because he was in Vegas,
right?
Instead of going to one of the local strip clubs or whatever it is.
He had a week off. What's he gonna do? Just sit in his room?
And that's my point. I don't care what you got to do. If you need to go get your rocks off and do what you got to do, it helps you win games. Because look he looked pretty good on Monday night.
Yeah,
I get him.
I will give you the 100 singles.
Put
up another 45.
Yeah. I will give it. I would be building him an apartment
I'll
on
throw
top
in
of the
another
Lilas.
100 for him.
That's right. We will get a GoFundMe going.
Yeah. I mean, go find his strip club.
But everybody is now in Iverson and can stay out till 4 in the morning and then put up another 40 spot.
Or Michael Jordan with the flu game and all that stuff. Yeah, no, I mean I remember Joe, was I with you when we went to Atlantic City when we saw AI years and years ago?
I saw him down there.
Oh, it was Tom. That's what I went with. We went there and we were watching the game at a bar. Halfway just drove down and the Sixers got the doors blown off.
Yeah.
He just had a bad game. I'm kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I pulled in Atlantic. I was at the tolls in Atlantic City, and the post game's just starting on the radio. And there is, we finally get into the hotel. We're pulling our parking. Here's Allen Iverson walking out of a limo. I'm like, how the hell did he get down here this fast? He had rockets on that limo, or I think he walked out of that game early. We sucked in third quarter. I'm going to start driving down.
You know what? I saw him down there once. I think it was at Caesars. It definitely wasn't Tropicana, but they'd lost badly. And we started to approach him. He gave us a look like,
don't do it.
Yep. And
get lost, buddy. I ain't signing your autograph.
And we quickly made the decision to, we got it and just turned around and said, all right.
I saw Rick Tocchet one time in a casino in AC.
He seems like he'd be a decent guy.
He was.
I think most hockey guys would just be like, well.
He was playing craps, $100 buy-ins. Because I did walk up to him.
Yeah.
And me and my buddy.
Until you lost and because you thought you were a bad lucky punch in the face.
It was so awkward. We're walking. It was after a concert. Me and my buddy were walking through a casino, and he actually noticed. And he goes, "Holy shit, is that?" Sorry for the swear. He goes, "Is that Rick Tocchet?" And I look over. I'm like, "Wow, it is." So I go over. I look at the buy-in. I go get $300 from the ATM. I was like, "I'm going to play craps with Rick Tocchet." I've never ever played craps before in my life. So then I go up and I think I called him Mr. Tockett too. I was like, "Hey, Mr. Tockett,"
Hi, Mr.
and he
Tucker.
turned and he was like, "Hi, how you doing?" I shook
Yeah.
his hand. I was like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." I said, "I'm gonna play a little bit." I said, "Do you mind if I get a picture with you?" And he was like, "Yeah, no problem. Let me wait till after my roll." And I was like, "Okay." But then he just started getting on a hot streak, and I swear to God, it might have been like 15, 20 seconds, but it felt like 5 minutes. I'm just standing there like by myself, like watching him roll, and I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "I don't know how to play craps. I'm not gonna lose $300 for a picture. I'm just gonna get the hell out of
Yeah.
here."
Joe like slowly raises his arms up
I
for like
probably
a
got, I
selfie.
probably got
Yeah.
booze like coming out my pores. Like,
Yeah.
It
yeah.
seems like I mean, there's certain athletes who you think are like. I was telling Al last time I was on Mickey Morandini
Mhm.
comes and plays golf at the golf course I work at,
Oh,
Clayton
cool.
Park, like 2 or 3 times a week during the season.
Wow.
He couldn't be a nicer guy.
Oh, he's a great
man.
guy.
He's just awesome.
Mhm.
But also,
Come on out next Saturday.
know,
You can meet him.
yeah, I saw that. That's what brought it up. But
Well,
yeah,
one question.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Jason has a good question for us, but real quick before we get into Jason's question, because we're going to answer that in 30 seconds. I want to remind you guys, if you get hurt at work, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law, David R. Cherry is the man. That's right, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave that EoP sent you, and he will fight for your rights. If you get hurt in a car accident, work injury, personal injury, or criminal law, call David R. Cherry, 610-565-0300.
Before we switch topics, I want
Jason's
to.
saying an anomaly, by the way.
It absolutely is. What's weird is everybody was talking about yesterday the back-to-back, both heartbreakers. Well, Friday night, both teams returned to Philadelphia for the Sixers playoff and the return of Bryce Harper. Like it's gotta be a reversal, right?
It's
I
like
would
it's like
say
gotta
so.
be.
it's a mulligan. Friday night will be
Yeah.
our mulligan. I'm
It's gotta
calling it
be.
right now. Mulligan all Friday night, guys.
if they can,
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Oh,
Get your
That's
tacos.
true.
Get your
Corona,
margaritas.
Corona's on, and
Yes, like that's what I'm looking. That's
You
what we're
know?
doing, Joe. You inspired me right there. We are
Beautiful.
doing that.
and the Sixers, they should get a front row seat for Coach Cal. Because
Yeah.
remember the last playoff game he was at, Max, he put up what, 33?
Something like that. Yeah, I believe that is what it was.
Yeah.
Put him on the bench.
give
Put him
him-
on the bench
yeah,
right next to him.
yeah.
Whatever you got to do. Jason has a question that everybody seems to have this question. Do you guys think
I saw that.
Harden will be back next year? Joey Melito, I'll let you go first.
I do. I do. He's not what he was, but I think he's transitioning nicely into. He led the league in assists this year.
Can I ask a question real quick? Because you just said that. He's 33 years old.
Mhm.
All right. Why do people talk to him like he's like 43 years old? Like, I just feel like people have like this moniker, like
Because you in the
Well-
NBA, you may as well be 40,
I mean,
43 years old if
33
you are
is-
34 years
33
old.
is pretty old for the. I mean,
he's a.
82
I wouldn't say
games.
he's past his prime, but he's definitely on the higher end of his prime.
I mean, players are just playing a lot longer these days.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if LeBron James, what's he, 38, 39 years old?
He's an asshole, but
Yeah, but he's 38, 39 years old. Nobody has a problem with him.
Yeah,
oh, I got a big
Well,
problem with
No,
it.
no, but I'm just saying, like everybody doesn't. Everybody, if he does
No,
play bad, you're going to ride him. You're never
Well,
going to
you
be
know
like,
what?
well, he is 38 years old, so we expect that.
LeBron,
Right.
this is his 20th season in the league, and he's always taking care of his body. I don't think Harden's always been a big gym athletic guy. This year, I think was one of the best shapes he showed up in.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between a guy like LeBron and a guy like Harden when it comes to longevity.
Taco Tuesday.
Can you believe he tried to trademark that?
Yep.
I mean, I can believe it because he's such an egomaniac.
Who
LeBron James.
tried to?
He tried to trademark Taco Tuesday.
You know how
like
hard
he
it is
made
to
it up.
trademark anything that two common words put together? Like, it's really hard.
All because him and his family used to do like TikToks of them saying Taco Tuesday at dinner. So he was like, let me try and
Wait, he
trademark.
thought he was the guy who came up with Taco Tuesday?
I don't know if he thinks that he made it up, but I know he tried to benefit from it.
Oh,
I think that they looked at him like, you're not going to trademark Taco Tuesday. you
dude,
idiot."
besides Michael Jordan, he's probably made the most money of any basketball player
I'm
on earth.
sure of it. He has to have. I mean, how many
now
years
he's
has
gonna
it
try
been
to-
where he's had
Oh, not
a
including
1-year
his
deal with an
movies.
option,
Yeah.
and then he opts out of the contract to get another 1-year deal with the option for the max price.
I do.
I mean,
like
he's been
that
doing it for.
Well, I do like
It's
that
a
he bets,
genius.
that
It's
he
a
bets
genius
on
move.
himself, and he always seems to win.
Yeah, As much as I hate him, I mean, he's a good basketball player. He's not the greatest, and he is a smart businessman.
Oh
and
yeah, that's
just,
for sure.
Just to throw it, speaking of money in sports, great movie just came out by Ben Affleck, directed it.
Yeah.
Called Air.
Oh, Air.
If you get to see it,
I haven't seen it yet. It's
fantastic.
one of those ones on my list I want to
Yeah, I
watch.
gotta see it. Haven't seen it
Fantastic.
yet.
That and Cocaine Bear.
Didn't you
It's
can
on
skip
Paramount Plus.
Cocaine
I'm gonna
Bear.
watch
Yeah.
it. I'm
Oh,
just
it
saying,
is. I can watch
it
it.
is on Paramount
I haven't
Plus.
even watched Creed 3 yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
was sick,
you're
that's
gonna
what I
like that.
watched. That's the first thing I put on. Like, well,
I gotta watch it.
I don't get a chance to sit down and watch movies
Say
often.
what,
So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna be laying here, I put it on.
Yeah.
It was
Jonathan
good.
Majors
It was
is
good.
going to be one of your favorite
Yeah.
Rocky Creed villains.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if Rocky was in it, I would have been there night one premiere. You
Him
know?
and
He pretty much
had a big falling out.
with the director.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
No,
I know all
with-
the story. Yeah.
with the owner of
Yeah.
The rights.
the
Whoever.
rights.
Yeah, whoever you saw the rights to.
But that was the deal he made. So
Yeah, he was on. He was
sucks,
on.
but
He was on air saying, he's happy with everybody, loves everybody,
Mhm.
but just he didn't like the direction they were taking
Trust
the
me.
franchise.
If anybody knows the story,
Yeah, I
it's
know
me.
that's true. You do. Joe, you see what I brought in the studio? They can't see it on
Wow.
Oh
camera.
wow.
Yeah, I got one online, so I'm like, I got to bring it in the studio.
Nice.
Just line them up
I
there.
like it.
But to answer Joe, why don't you give me your answer to the question? Do you think James Harden's back next year? And do you want James Harden back next year?
I want him back. Yeah. Do I think he's going to be back? I think that has a lot to do with how this series plays out. But taking that aspect out of the question, I think he'll be back because why would you want to go to Houston?
Loves the strip club.
I understand that, and I understand that it's tax free, and I know that's what a lot of these guys making the big bucks, like Jimmy Butler, wanted to go to Miami because it's tax free, and so I get that aspect of it. But it's like if you're going to make the same money in Houston than you would make here, but here you get to play with Joel Embiid, and you are a second round playoff contender. I don't see how he wouldn't want to come back. I should say.
I mean, not only Joel, he gets to play with Tobias.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Maxey. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons.
Oh yeah.
At his
I
disposal.
think Maxey and Paul Reed are like two of his closest friends.
Maxey's
On the
gonna
I
team.
heard
be the
he's- yeah.
Maxey's got
Yeah.
to get paid too. Don't forget too. So.
That's
Yeah.
true too. Oh, if
You
I'm
know
picking
what?
one of them,
Yeah.
He
no-brainer.
deserves it from a second round pick out of Kentucky. I never thought he would become what he has turned into. It's just,
Sure.
He was a first round pick. He was picked number
Oh, he
21.
was the first round.
Yeah.
Okay,
Pick
so
number
end of the
21.
First round.
So, question then, and actually, two parts. Jason put up a good point. Joel accepts his MVP award on Friday night. Laugh out loud. No way he loses the game.
That's true.
Yeah, that would sting. That would sting. Here's your
Okay.
MVP award. Here's you need.
I
mean,
think
I'm not so much a loss, but I guess a loss like they took the other night maybe
Yeah.
would sting more.
I think them saying quote unquote knock the rust off of Joel. I don't even think that that's so much of what we should take from the other night. Like I think he has to get used to playing with that brace, or maybe he doesn't play with the
Maybe
brace
he
at
does-
all.
Yeah, or maybe just
Maybe he knows
Maybe he
that
has
was a
to.
big factor in the game
Maybe he
last night
has
for
to,
his
though.
own performance. They were anticipating him not wearing one
Yeah.
last night,
yeah.
and then I guess I
See
don't
what
know.
Bryce Harper's wearing the robot arm. He put like
Yes.
I call it the Winter Soldier arm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
and
saw
I
it. It
heard
looks like
something.
Bucky Barnes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard something about that like with the pitch clock.
Mhm.
That injured players who have to wear stuff like that, there should be an extra 5 seconds or
You would think.
whatever to get ready.
Mhm.
And now you see Bryce Harper he's
So
actually
anybody-
taking his
so
back
anybody-
foot out of the batter's box.
So anybody batting behind Harper will get like an extra 5 seconds, pretty much.
I guess.
He's got
I guess.
But I don't. I'm trying to remember about when I watched the other night when he was hitting. It didn't seem like they started the pitch clock right away because
It's weird. I noticed that as well. That sometimes and I don't know if it's just because
the ump's
they're
got
not
to do one of
displaying
these.
it at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's either it doesn't pop on right away, or when you're watching it, it disappears at like 8 seconds.
That's what I saw. It's
I
weird.
have a working theory, and I don't know were you on the show when I said this or not. It was in the last couple of weeks. I said I have a working theory that I believe next year MLB will add 5 seconds to the pitch clock. At
That's-
least,
yeah.
maybe more.
I think that's what they're saying. Even though Manfred's saying like they're not changing anything, like they have to use this year it has to be looked at a little bit experimental.
testing.
because
Oh,
they got to tweak it here and there.
There's
Like
you got to make a graph. You got to.
fine tuning it.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, here's my thing: is this is how I look at it? If you find out the pitch clock worked well.
Mhm.
Games kept people on longer, kept people more invested in it, and it worked. And and the algorithm would have to look at not just how long the games were, but how long like you have to compare them to previous years. Like you would need to find out 5 years prior to this how long games were and when they scored more than X amount of runs in a game, and then do that same thing here and see where the percentage difference
Sure.
is. Because if it's a fairly staggering difference, because we've had games under 2 hours now.
Yeah.
What was the last time anybody had a baseball game under 2
Yeah.
hours?
I feel like the first few weeks you really noticed the speed of the game now. Ever since then, it hasn't even been a thought to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about how long the game is anymore. Not like the way that I never did before. I never sat there like, oh, this game's 3 hours and 13 minutes right now. Book,
There
you know,
was
like it never bothered me, and it was never at the forefront of my mind. Only in the beginning of the season.
there was sometimes, on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN with the Yankees Red Sox, those games would go like
They
over
drug
4
them
hours,
out. They
man.
drug them
But
out.
you also have to
And
think that's a nation game. Like it's ESPN Sunday night. There's going to be more commercials. There's more revenue for that. So that's
Yeah.
stretching the game as well.
And I just think I don't know if it's a younger generation, but baseball's ratings were sliding, and
Oh yeah.
maybe they thought it was because the length of the
Mhm.
game, and
It literally was. People were going, well, I can watch a 3.5 hour, 4 hour, like, and this is a lot of younger people. I can watch a 3.5 hour, average game, or I can just go on Twitter and watch the highlights.
Sure.
And that's what people were doing, and they found out that's what's hurting them. And I still agree with the pitch clock. I do.
I like it.
It's just, I can tell you, Joe, where I feel the difference, and it's funny because of the fighting final.
Oh yeah.
I was so used to it, like we would set the time, 10:30 or whatever.
Yes.
But now it's like, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter when you set the time, but like I'm like, oh, the kids will be in bed, the wife will be in bed. I'll go down to the studio downstairs and I'll do the Fighting's final. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do the Fighting's final. She's like, well, okay. I'm like, she's so not used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one difference where I see it. But I mean, I like it, but I think if it helps the players and it doesn't really, because there's 27 not 27, but at least 27 at bats
Mhm.
per team.
Just say there's 27 outs in a game.
27 out. Well, yeah, per team, right? Yeah. So then you times that by an extra, times it by 5. That's it.
No,
500.
not per team. Total.
Is it? I'm gonna do the math.
3 outs. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
6 times 7, 42. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
So my point is, yeah, it's times up by 5. Find out how many extra seconds that's going to be, and add that to a game that's probably not going to make more than a 10, 15-minute differential.
Sure.
I like it. A guy like my dad, he's out cutting lawns all day in the heat. I like it for him. He's not nodding off in the 8th and 9th inning anymore, where he might have been in the years before.
Well, games start earlier now too.
Yeah,
Well, that's the other thing,
that's,
too.
that's another good thing.
Well, again, with the Fighting's final, when we had West Coast trips like this last one,
Yeah.
we would usually schedule the final for either record it and then play it Monday or the next morning
Mhm.
or early afternoon. We're like, it's 12:30. Might as well just do it. Like,
I'll be honest, dude. Like this past series is really when my age started to like creep into my head, because I used to stay up for I loved West Coast games because the family would go to bed. I would have my me time. I'd have a beer, watch the game. Now I'm getting to the 5th inning. I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Or you do like what I would do, like you'd pass out on the couch, you wake up 9th inning.
I wish I
Yeah.
can't fall asleep on the couch. I just can't do it.
Really?
Dude, even though
No.
I have to wake up at 5 a.m., I can't fall asleep pre 2:30 a.m. I just once something gets my attention, whether it's a
How old are you?
show or something, 38,
Okay.
and I'm just like one more episode.
I'm
one
the
more
same way.
episode.
I used to be
more-
like
I-
that.
See, I will. It's not even a good show. Like my wife, for instance, she'll fall asleep in bed with some sort of Hallmark movie or some sort of sappy Netflix version of a
Mhm.
Hallmark movie, and I'm just sitting there going, well, first part, she'll like fall asleep, wake up, rewind back, and like I've now watched this movie 7 times. She doesn't understand that, but I've done that, and like I'm not even invested in this movie. I'm like, I can't fall asleep. Can you please turn this off? Like, if you don't turn this off, my brain won't allow me to go to sleep at
That's-
this time.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm
Yeah.
watching something, I can't fall asleep. That's why I don't think I can fall asleep on the couch, because if I'm obviously up with something on that I'm interested in, I won't let myself fall asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say it's tough. And, like, I remember the one time when we first started doing EOP years ago. What are we on? 6 years?
6 years.
6 years now. I was writing one of my first articles I wrote on EOP. It was a late night Phillies game. I was covering it. And I'm sitting there typing it, and I started to nod off. It was a long week already, and I cracked the screen because I did one of the. And I was sitting on my lap like on it, and I let it fall
Yeah.
forward, and it fell. And I'm like, just all you hear is in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, mother. Just like my wife's like, what happened? I'm like, I cracked. Go to bed. Like I'm like, don't ask.
It's best you don't know.
It's best.
Yeah.
You don't know, yeah. Guys, we're getting to the end of the show, but let's talk about. I know time has passed. We've had time to digest the NFL draft. Overall, Joe, I haven't been able to talk to you about it, but the first round of the draft, there were a few head scratchers. Listen, it played in our favor.
Absolutely.
We all thought Nolan Smith could have been guy we got in the 10th pick.
Right.
I was sure Nolan Smith would go in the top 20, maybe in the top 15.
You and many other people, pal.
It got to Dallas's pick. I believe it was 26. And when Goodell said Mazzie Smith, I'm going in my head. Did he say Nolan Smith's name wrong? I'm like, what did he say? And then
I thought that's who.
And then the clip came up of Matt. I'm like, oh, Mazzie's Michigan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is Nolan Smith still on the clock?
I thought,
and it was such kismet. Like it was so destined for it to go this way. You had Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean with Nolan Smith at his draft party. I mean, it couldn't. Like you can't write scripts better than the way that worked out.
The news around the league is that a lot of general managers are not happy with Howie Roseman. They're not how. I mean, they won't make how that happy. That makes me though.
Yeah.
When other people who do what you do aren't happy with you, tends to mean you're doing it better than them.
Yeah. Micah Parsons interview.
That was great.
Yeah, with AJ Brown, and he's like, "Man, I don't know how you guys did." Like,
he's like, "If you want to come play in Philly,"
yeah, he's like,
he was live with the guy. I don't know if it's a podcast or a YouTube show.
I think it was a player.
It's the same guy who Jason Kelsey was live with last year when they selected Cam Jurgens. It was that guy.
I think it's a player ran broadcast they do.
Okay. And Micah Parsons was on it, and the number 9 pick came Jalen Carter, and he almost walked off set, almost like in tears. And the host of the show is an Eagles fan, so he's goating them all the way, like EAG, like oh my god. And Micah Parsons is standing up, like almost with tears in his eyes, he's like, how did the rest of the league let this happen? The Super Bowl, appearance Eagles, and they get arguably the best player in the draft.
I was so pumped for Jalen. I mean, I wrote an article on Jalen. Love Jalen.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be killer having him in. I mean, he can literally he could play any spot on the line.
In my eyes, he's kind of a win-win. I mean, I know he has his off-field issues and whatever, but even if he doesn't pan out to be this number 1 overall draftee, even if he's 75% that, he's still a damn good defensive.
Yeah, he's still
lineman.
Yeah,
I mean,
this isn't supposed to This isn't supposed to happen. The Eagles had a pick at pick number 31 because they went to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they lost it. Super Bowl contending teams don't have top 10 picks the very next draft. Like this is something that does not happen.
6th time in history.
Dude, we're like, all right, I was away on vacation last week, and it was my anniversary week, so we had everything set up, dinners,
so the flowers on the beach,
absolutely,
the
roses, the petals.
The most romantic guy you'll ever meet right here.
I asked my wife before we left. I said, the only thing I ask for is let me have Thursday, and she's like, okay, that's fair. So Thursday night comes around. I got the wings, drinking some beers, got the draft on. We're creeping up to pick number 10. The rest of the family's in the living room. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, like his cousin. People are there. We're enjoying it. And Lex is on Twitter, and we get up to Arizona's pick number 8, and all of a sudden Lex goes, "Oh, John Clark just tweeted that the Eagles traded up a pick and picked Jalen Carter." And I'm behind her going, "What the hell did you just?" Because that, like, the anticipation, the excitement of the Eagles pick. That is what grabs me so much, So when she ruined it for me,
Ah,
I was so mad.
she hit you with a spoiler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have friends that used to do that, like text me, like watch Twitter and just text me to be jerks, and I don't talk to them anymore on draft day. I swear to
Or
God,
at all.
and I know the person is listening to that or will listen to this eventually, and he knows I'm talking about you. But anyway, and I forgot to tell him about this, but Lex did that to me. Pick number 8. Oh, John Clark just tweeted. Oh, Eagles pick number 9. John Clark. I was so upset. And then I didn't let her hear the end of it for the rest of the day, or at least until she went to bed, and she went to bed with like I think like 10 picks left, and she's like, "Well, you won't have to worry about me ruining pick number 30 for you."
Yeah.
Or 31.
And Nolan, what a freak athlete, man.
It's awesome.
I mean, he ran a sub 4. He's
Yeah.
basically a carbon copy of Hassan Reddick. Is
Yep.
what we got.
That's the NFL comp they got
I
on him.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just those two coming off the edge, man. And I
Yeah.
know Josh Sweat just gave us 11 sacks, but wow.
Can I
we
just
are
say
deep.
it's such an Atlanta move to take Bijan Robinson?
I couldn't believe.
I'll be honest with
could.
you, I
I
kind of
believe it.
like it for them because
Well, I
they're
like it.
putting
I like it
together-
for anybody. It helps them.
if they had the quarterback.
If they had a
They
quarterback,
have
if they had
Kyle
a-
Pitts, they got Drake London. Now
And
they
what
have
has Kyle
Bijan. They're
Pitts been the
they're-
whole time.
but look at their quarterbacks. They had
Exactly.
Mariota. They got Ritter or Desmond Ritter. If he's even still, I think he's still there.
Well, I think they're going to
Heineke
try
now.
to.
They're trying to
They're
do
trying
something,
him.
right?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if they had the quarterback, they have a really young, talented offense
yeah.
around them.
I think Kyle Pitts.
I wanted Kyle Pitts so bad in that draft.
It's funny they call him a tight end because he's
not.
really just a wide receiver.
He's not.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
A
just.
big wide
Yep.
receiver.
And Drake London was a kid from USC, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's like 6'3".
big
So
dude.
you know, they definitely have it. I don't think their line is quite up.
No,
to
they have
Right.
no. That's my point. This is why I'm saying this is a total, just like the
Yeah.
the Giants did when they took Saquon. You had your quarterback on his last leg. I guess
Yeah.
Eli was still there at the time. You had
He was.
an O line that was Swiss cheese.
Yep.
I mean, same thing here. Now you don't even have. At least Eli was at one point a decent quarterback.
Sure.
I mean, you have no O line. I'm sure they're trying to build it up.
Lackluster team. They're also trying to put some asses in the seats too.
Yeah.
They got
but
to sell
you
tickets.
just literally sold Bijan's career after throw it down the window.
Well, that's what I'm going to be pissed at because people are going to be saying, Joey, you wrote that Bijan article. You really wanted him. And I did. If we couldn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
Jalen, I wanted Bijan because our offense would be
I would
ridiculous.
have
I'm
been
telling you
totally
right
fine
now,
with
They're
Bijan.
If
when
Bijan
he
was
flops in Atlanta because they have no O line, they're going to say, see, Joey, I
that-
told you, Bijan.
That's the point, though.
Yeah.
There's no line in Atlanta. You can't.
Yeah.
That's when when a guy flops somewhere. Like I can't. Like when people are like, oh, so you wanted it? I'm like, but that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Do they have a good coach? Do they have a good team? Like if the rest of the team's doing good, he just doesn't make the field. Okay, he's a bust and he sucked. But like Kyle Pitts, I think Kyle Pitts is still a damn good tight end.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
But Kyle Pitts has been, since his rookie year, has been pretty much non-existent. Not because he's not a good tight end. It's because he's had nobody.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not saying nobody, nobody's
Well,
to throw to him.
I think that's why the Zacchaeus move is even better for him to put up the decent numbers he did with a Mariota throwing him the ball. And what did he have? Like 500 yards, 40 50
Yeah, it was a
receptions?
respectful,
So,
number. Yeah.
For that coming from Desmond Ritter and Mariota, I mean,
He's only been in the league. This is his third season too. I mean,
Yep.
the kid's still very young, very talented. Like
and
they're
I
gonna
like,
get it together
I
there.
like that, it fired Quez up.
Yeah.
Because iron sharpens iron, now he's gonna, like you said, I'm gonna make all y'all eat your effing words.
Right.
I hope he does. I hope,
Yeah. Of course.
So
Could
But I
have been
mean,
a couple of years ago, or the last couple of years would have been nice. Maybe in a Super Bowl that would have been nice too.
I
In
mean,
the playoffs.
do we have to thank the Detroit Lions at this point because the total head scratcher at pick number 12 with Jahmyr
Jahmyr
Gibbs
Gibbs.
going to Detroit after they went out and signed David Montgomery in the
For
offseason.
Buco Bucks, by the way. It wasn't like the guy
Oh,
like
I
on the
know.
team.
yeah,
I know. So if that put the rest of the league on notice that DeAndre Swift was available, and I'll be honest with you, like,
we were like,
yeah, but, like here's my
We
thing.
said
is,
it on
like,
air. We're like, oh, he's going to
like,
come to Philly.
right. That's the initial thought. But then I talk myself out of it because the move makes too much sense. I'm going, this is such a no-brainer that Haley should do this and I'm so on board with it. That's why it's not going to happen. Because I want it to happen, so it's not going to happen. But hey, like Charlie, who used to come on
Oh,
our
yeah.
show, he was a big talker about DeAndre. So we all watched him in college at
Yeah.
Georgia, and the fact that he is a Philadelphia, born and
St.
raised,
Joe's prep.
him coming back home, I think that puts a little bit more of a fire under him because he wants to go out there in his hometown around his family, watching in the stadium,
And tear it
now
up.
at his career,
Yeah.
and he's going to want to prove, he's going to want to shove it back into the Detroit Lions' face of, why'd you sign Montgomery? Why did you draft Gibbs? You had me. I was already your joy switch.
Well,
Or
he
what's
wasn't-
the
Joystick.
joystick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't staying. He did have some health problems, but he gashed
Sure.
us for his only 100 yard.
Absolutely.
His only 100
Well,
yard game last year was against us for 140
We're
yards.
still
in the
paying
first
our running
game.
backs less than Miles Sanders is getting paid.
Yeah.
Yep.
On top of the fact is between him and Rashad Penny, they could have a full season together.
Oh my God. I think that is something that's not talked about as much as well with our
Rashad.
backfield.
Oh.
He's a part of it. Is you look at Rashad Penny and some of these other guys, DeAndre Swift, they're getting all these snaps, all these reps. When you have a talented backfield, rushing back, Jesus Christ, running backs room like we have right now, they're rotational guys. They're not going to be out there. They're not one guy is going to be the bell cow. These guys, they're each probably going to get 10, maybe 12 touches a game.
Yeah.
And it's just like you
Keep
said,
'em-
iron
keep- and I-
sharpens iron. It keeps everybody fresh on and
Yep.
off the field, keeps them healthy. And
Compe-
that is something that needs
competitive.
to be talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hell, you could have a DeAndre Swift and a Rashad Penny. You got both of them in the backfield.
I think you can.
I mean, and then what are you going to do?
I think you can use Kenny Gainwell and Swift. Yeah, obviously out of the backfield catching it. They're both great. And then you got Rashad Penny who can run downhill, can
Right.
do short yardage type thing. So I mean, I think our three running backs and
Boston, you got him for
you
two
know,
games. You gave
yeah.
him $1 million per Giants game
Yep.
to
to
for the
tear them
season.
up.
Yeah.
So
It's no secret. Everybody knows what we're going to do with Boston Scott.
Yeah.
So if you guys have to play us in the playoffs again, you're screwed.
Yes.
Our boy Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter, as soon as the DeAndre Swift deal went down, he used the PFF grades from 2022, and actually Swift outgraded Sanders the entire time.
really,
I mean, his running grade was 83 to 79. Swift.
Okay.
His receiving grade was 66 to 35.
I could see that.
His pass protection grade was 73 to 37, which is big.
70.
And then the run blocking is 58 to 55.
Like, I think one of the things that's so head scratching for me with this Lions pick is, I mean, they totally flipped their running backs. They let Jamal Williams walk to New Orleans, and then of course we know what happened with Swift, and they got Montgomery. Like, Swift and Williams were not that bad of a backfield that you needed to replace them. Especially like they traded TJ Hawkinson. Like
They
what
traded
did they do?
Jeff Okudah.
Yes, absolutely. Like and they have Jared Goff still there at the running back. Like if you're trying to get a better offense, start with your quarterback.
Yep.
You don't have to flip your running backs room. Like they were very serviceable in what they were doing there. Both of them. I wanted the Eagles to sign Jamal Williams. I like Jamal Williams coming out of BYU. I don't know what the hell's going on in Detroit.
I don't know what they're doing either, but it doesn't surprise me because it's the Lions. It's,
And my favorite quarterback in the draft, outside of Anthony Richardson, but it was a close one too, was Will Levis. I've never seen a guy be such a baby on national TV because, like, the facial expressions.
I have Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's true. That is very true. But to then go into the second round the next night, and before the draft, it was announced Will Levis is not showing up to round 2 of the draft because he was so butthurt. And then he goes number 2 in the second round of the draft. It was funny. Like I was watching a clip, like it was on Twitter or YouTube or something like that, and it was a breakdown of all the facial expressions Will Levis had throughout the night. And he looks bonkers. He looks like an absolute insane person, and he's just sitting there making these faces like, oh, poor me. Like,
I didn't
shut
think
up.
he was that bad, like outwardly. It looked like inside, though, he wanted to just be like, what? Especially the Redskins passing him up. That was.
He had no idea.
I mean,
no idea what was going on.
I thought the Redskins for sure were taking him with 17 or whatever it was, and they took, I think, Emmanuel Forbes, the cornerback from Mississippi State, which
I thought the Titans could have taken Levis. They didn't like Malik Willis.
The Titans took they did take a quarterback, didn't they?
I think it was. Well, I mean, in the first round, I thought they would have taken him.
Yeah.
He was to the Titans.
Levis went to the Titans.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think they traded up to get him
because Tannehill, I don't think was too thrilled. But
who cares? It's Tannehill.
It's Tannehill. Your job's to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 30 times.
Derrick Henry. Oh, never mind. I was gonna make a joke like, oh, Derrick Henry might come to Philadelphia, but no, obviously that's not happening.
People that wanted him here, I never saw him as a fit in our offense.
I took it with a grain of salt. I entertained it for an hour or so. It'd be awesome. Reuniting him and AJ.
Like I mean, we've been talking about having a power back like that.
I think that's Rashad Penny's role at this point.
I have a weird feeling he's going to stay pretty healthy this year.
Me too.
Well,
just because of the rotation.
Yeah, Joe's point makes a good. I didn't even think about that. The rotation would make a difference.
I mean, not that any one freaky play can, your knee goes along, but whatever. But you're right. The less carries, the less chance.
I think of it like this: like 2017, we won the Super Bowl. We had Garrett Blunt, who we signed. We signed Rashad Penny, and then we traded for Jay Ajayi, and we just traded for DeAndre Swift. Everything's working in motion the same way. We're getting back.
Eagles picked up a tight end today, Dan Arnold from the Jags. Don't know anything about this kid, but might be.
I read a little bit about him.
Yeah, you and the rest of the free world didn't know much. I don't know how many Jags fans, all 7 of them, couldn't tell you much about him.
Well, supposedly back in 2001, he actually became one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets. What's that?
2021, you mean?
What'd I say?
2001.
Sorry, 2021.
You might not even born then.
Yeah.
First off, everybody knew what the hell I was saying.
Yeah.
2021, he actually, in the 8 games that he played, he went down with a knee injury, cutting his season short. But he became one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets. And last year, with the addition of Evan Ingram, he just kind of didn't get the opportunity.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't know if there's much out there on him. I've put up a stat, but who knows?
Just stats, copy, paste, we're good to go. Yeah, pretty much. I don't blame you because I would have done the same thing. Right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything about third string tight ends for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I read stuff on Twitter, and then I looked up.
I don't know something about them. You do that, and then you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, look at some videos of them. That's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, I want to remind you that this show was brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. Go ahead and get there lined up for one of their many trips. Sign up today and tell them EOP sent you. Don't forget Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. This upcoming, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, May 13th, 1 to 8. Vicky Morandini, Charlie Manuel, Philly Sports Guy, Hollis Thomas, and many more will be gracing their presence at Dolan's Bar for a very, and I always use the term intimate time because it is. It's you don't often get rubbing shoulder to shoulder with these guys. Usually it's a rope kind of blocking you off. So not Dolan's. You get to meet these guys up close and personal, get their autographs, and I'm sure the Philly Sports Guy will get you on his TikTok with him at one point. And don't forget, David R. Cherry's your man for workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, 610-565-0300 or cherryinjurylaw.com. And for those hard to get tickets, like we said, you might want to get Sixers tickets for tomorrow. You want to get Phillies tickets for tomorrow. Check it out. It's going to be a party down in South Philly. If you're not going to either of those games, I'd stay away from that area because traffic's going to be murder. But if you're going to go down and you need a ticket, I go to sherrystickets.com, as we all do here at EOP. Promo code EOP10 saves you 10% off, and you will not get bamboozled by any promo or any any fees at the end when you check out. So other than that,
let's hope it's a celebration tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully it's a dual celebration.
Teams,
Yeah.
Need it.
Joey Melito, 2 weeks in a row. Thank you, man, for coming in.
I love it.
For those who don't know, Joey Melito, you can check him out on EOPsports.com. He's got some more articles coming out. He's new to the program, and hopefully we'll be seeing his face as well and hearing more as time goes on. So thanks for coming out.
My pleasure.
Joey Sheeran, thanks for being you, as always.
I thought you were going to say thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, buddy. Other than that, guys, we'll see you at the same time next. When you guys are used to seeing us, Wednesday, 8:30. On
if the Sixers don't play.
Oh yeah, depending, guys. Yeah, the only time we really fluctuate these things are for playoff games. You know, it is what it is. No, but Unless, I think I said, people probably would have rather seen our ugly mugs.
Yes.
But whatever. Guys, we'll catch you next time.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.